want to advise you of a criminal activity that's going on in our nation in addition to Obama's criminal activity and its cover-up. When the phrase was coined, too big to fail, what it essentially said was that some institutions are above the law. That when you reach a certain level or size or influence, that your size then defies the law. That only businesses or persons or individual of a designated size can the law be applied to, but the law is not equal. Indeed, too big to fail is a statement of anarchy and lawlessness that dates all the way back to the Bush administration. What we have going on now in America with Obama's criminal activity as an ineligible, illegal president, Congress, the courts, the media have all gotten together and have stated that Obama is too important and leaders of such stature are too big to have to be tried on criminal issues that smaller people would be tried for. So in effect, what we have now in the phrase with the banks is that they are above the law, and only small people or the little man has to go to jail or pay for his crimes. And so when the Occupy movement came along, I saw clearly that someone else understood this as well, that the 1% are above the law. They don't go to jail. And if they are found to have done some wrong, they may get a slap on the wrist, but they don't go to jail. And you and I know that they don't. And but the little man, he has to go. The 99%, he has to go. Now, I want to appeal to many of you who have been greatly misled by people like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly and those millionaires and billionaires who are trying to tell you, because you're alleged to be conservative or Republican, that you are for big business and smaller taxes and smaller government. Well, that's all well and good. But are you for actual criminals being protected and being too big to be prosecuted? Are you really for that? And you need to think clearly about that. And one of the reasons why there's such a great inequity and disparity in the wealth and the separation of wealth and the poor and the rich is because the law protects the wealthy by not prosecuting them and then prosecuting the poor man. Case in point, as of today, 3.8 million homes have been foreclosed on by banks. And many of these banks have been bailed out by the taxpayer dollar. The little man has bailed them out. The banks have been bailed out, but 3.8 million families have been put out on the street, their belongings set out on the sidewalk, and the banks have repossessed their homes. This is not right. I'm not here for anarchy. I'm not here for disrespect of the law. The law is the law. But if you're going to apply it to the little man, you should never say a man is so big that the law should not be applied to him. And I want you people who are opposing Occupy Wall Street to think long and hard about how ludicrous your position is in protecting people who have now become too big to be prosecuted. You need to think long and hard about that. But the other thing is this, is that the Occupy Wall Street movement is just beginning. There's a woman named Catherine Lennon who lives up in Rochester, New York, whose home was foreclosed on her back, I think in April of this year, where she, and along with a number of other people, have band together in a movement called Take Back Our Homes, Take Back Our Land, have moved back into those foreclosed homes. And thank God for lawyers who are willing to work with her and others all across America now, where people who are foreclosed on have gone back to their homes, not as squatters, but they've gone back to those foreclosed homes. And they have a number of lawyers and community advisors working with them to keep them in their homes and to keep them from being prosecuted as criminals. If the banks can stay in their suites and in their high-rise buildings and in their private jets and their homes on the Riviera, my brother and my sister, I plead with you. Then why can't the man keep his home? Why should we create 3.8 million families of homelessness in America when you've got these homes just sitting there doing nothing? There's another way. And again, my statement is, if you're going to foreclose on the little man, then you got to foreclose on the big man. People in America should not be above the law. Now, the time is going to come when you're going to realize that many congresspersons and leaders and politicians and judges and people in media and people with money and power are above the law. And it's getting worse in America. This is really what is adverse about communism. Can I just talk to you for just a moment? Just you and I talking. Is that right? What is really to be loathed about the government form called communism is the fact that those who are if you will, the bourgeoisies, or those that are in the government leadership, they are above the law and they can do anything they want to do. They have freedom of speech, they have freedom of travel, they have money flowing in from the poor people. But the communist government then oppresses anyone that's smaller than them. And that is where we're going. It is not the Occupy Wall Street movement that is the communist, but it's the Hank Paulsons, it's the George Bush, it's the Bill Clintons, it's the Barack Obamas, it's the George Soros, it's the Koch brothers, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Illuminatis, it's the Bilderberg. They are the communists. They are the true communists. They are the ones that really are too big to go to jail. They are too big to be prosecuted, and they oppress the little man. And then you got the media who's a part of this. And listen, there are a lot of people who are part of the Council on Foreign Relations who are part of the media, the Bill O'Reillys, the Rush Limbaughs, and these are people who came from humble beginnings, there's no doubt about it. They never had anything, and they want to be something. They not only want to have money, but they want to have clout and world class. So they talk to people like you every night and every day on their broadcast and trying to get you to say it's all right for these banks to be too big to fail, or in essence, that's code language for saying that they're too big to be prosecuted, that they are above the law and the law does not apply to them. Now, warning, there's a group called Take Back America. There's a group that says housing is a human right. And what we are looking at, if the economy does not turn around, we're looking at a French or an American Revolution on the French Revolution style, where people are going to overrun banks, they're going to take back their homes, they're going to take back the land, and they're going to drag these billionaires out of their homes and hang them on the nearest tree. They're going to start hanging, and you may see people who have realized that they were duped by people like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly, where people would drag Rush Limbaugh out of his radio station and hang him on a tree. You can't continue to put people out on the street and then say that the banks that are doing it are above the law, that the Constitution doesn't apply to them. And that is what has happened with Obama and the Constitution regarding natural born citizen. People have said willy-nilly that the Constitution, it doesn't matter, it doesn't apply, and who cares? Who cares about such issues? My friends, we are headed for a quicksand revolution, and it's just a matter of days now before you see this revolution taken to the streets. And bankers and investors don't have to jump out of windows. They're going to be pushed out of windows. There's a movement afoot of the 99%. And I'm not for anarchy, but I am for revolution if it brings justice. I support revolution, and I support justice. I support truth. And what is spawning all of this is the fact that many people in the courts and the Congress have said that Obama is too big to be prosecuted for his crimes as a illegal, alleged president. But mark my words, there is a revolution brewing that says, take back our land, take back our homes, that will make Occupy Wall Street look like a picnic on a Sunday afternoon with little girls, little boys playing baseball, and the preacher and all the deacons in the church being the referees and the umpire. This take back our movement, take back our homes. And people are going to go back to those homes where the banks put them out. And they're going to sit there. You'd better go pray. Ask God to forgive you. One final thing. There is, in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 18, Jesus told of a man that owed the king something on the equivalent of $10 million. I've told you about this. Matthew 18, chapter 18, verse 28 to 35. And he asked the king to forgive him. Don't put me out. Don't put me in jail, me and my family. Let me live. And the king had mercy upon him. But then he went out and found a little man that owed him $10 and put him in jail. And Jesus demonstrated that that man shall be cast into outer darkness, where there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, and he shall never know liberty again. When I speak to you, I'm guided by the scriptures. I never speak out of my own understanding. I speak out of the Bible, whether you call it the Old Testament, where God speaks about usury, interest, and how you can kill a man through interest. And if a man gives his house as a pledge, don't take it from him. Give him an opportunity to pay. And that when you work a man, pay him fair wages. Or you sell him a product, make sure that the weights and balances in the product you sold is an honest price. That's all throughout God's teaching. And I'm never going to vary from that. I'm never going to side with you crazy people out there who are saying that the 1% is right. And people like Sean Hannity, this constant refrain, I've never gotten a job from a poor man. What does that say to all of the small business people that watch Sean Hannity every night, who are small business people, who maybe your business clears a couple $100,000 a year, you pay some employees, but at a couple $100,000 a year, Mr. Businessman, Miss Businesswoman, you are a poor person. You're not rich. When Sean Hannity, and you employ people, 10, 15 people a year, 20 people, sometimes 100 people you employ. But Sean Hannity is saying that you are of no account. You don't mean anything. Sean Hannity is saying only when you get up in the $200 million category does he represent and support you. You're being slapped in the face by Sean Hannity. I've never gotten a job from a poor man. Please reconsider the fact what true communism is. True communism is too big to fail. And that's why the Soviet Union doesn't exist now. I'm James David Manning. I'm a servant of the Lord God Almighty, and his name is Jesus.